Oh, hey, I didn't notice you there. I was just checking my emails.
What a way
to
start that.
Welcome to
That's
Ask
so
Junior.
stupid.
Stupid's a bad word in our house.
I'm sorry.
Did you say stupid?
No.
Okay.
I was bored.
We play back.
That's another one. Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr., and we're having a lot of fun here in the Dale Jr. Download today in the Bojangle studio, and trying to get that out. Got to get my Xfinity read here, which I don't even need this because I'm a customer, right? But this is new. So this year, over the last several years, we've been talking about Xfinity Internet, and I've been, that's been easy for me because I've been using it, and it's great. But this year they want us to promote their Xfinity Mobile. It's the fastest mobile service with 5G coverage, millions of Wi-Fi hotspots. You drive around all the time seeing those hotspots popping up on your phone. Nationwide coverage, always going to come through in a clutch situation. Make the switch today. You can save with Xfinity Mobile. Xfinity is a proud premier partner of NASCAR. We all know that. We're very thankful for everything that they do. Yeah. So, anyways, thank them for supporting our Ask Junior segment. Always a lot of fun. We had a really good show, I think. You'll be the judge. Coming up later today, talking about trucks and Xfinity, COTA. I had an idea that the Xfinity series should go to North Wilkesboro instead of COTA. I got trashed for that idea. But that's part of it, man. You're going to throw some takes out there. You're not going to win every day. But we got some questions coming up from Xfinity on X or Twitter. I'm getting there. I'm
calling
Still
it Twitter.
All right. And, yeah, let's see what you got today. This has been a really good segment for the last several months, so let's keep going.
Yes, and this first question coming from Bill on Twitter. Sorry, I just had to – I'm not changing the way I'm saying it. He said, have you ever had any weird or crazy dreams about racing?
Oh, man. I will say I'm the kind of person that doesn't remember their dream often, but there are nights when I wake up and I realize that I was dreaming, and I will be able to recount whatever happened, which is always fun. I'm not sure I'd want to be a person that remembered every dream from every night, right? You'd wake up every day going, whew, glad that wasn't real, or whew, I wish that was real. Or, you'd have that sort of emotion too. That'd be too much. But I'll tell you this, man. Just about maybe it's less often, at least it hasn't happened in a long time, but I was dreaming about Dad at least once a year. And it would be it wouldn't be anything wouldn't something significant happening. We would just be in the same place, and we might be at a racetrack or around a race car, and there would other people are around, and not anything of note would happen.
But
we were just there, right? And I liked that. I really did. I felt like when you lose a parent, and I'm going to answer the question, but when you lose a parent, you never see them again. They're not here, right? That's a real hard reality that you're not ever going to walk into the room and they'll be sitting there ever, right? So when you dream about them, it's sort of this little cheat code, and it's nothing that you can control. You can't do it as often as you want. And so it feels legitimate. Like when it happens, you're like, man, I wake up and I'm like, man, I dreamed about Dad last night. It was like an exciting thing, right? Yeah. That you got to see him. Even if you didn't talk or engage or communicate, it's just like getting to see him again. And how real dreams can feel. So that's kind of the same way it is with racing. I don't dream about driving a car often, but when it happens, it's like you wake up and you're like, when you wake up and you remember that you dreamed about racing, you're like, damn, I dreamed about a race last night. I still got the bug. So it's always good. You never have any nightmares about racing, dreams, but it doesn't happen enough. And but when it does happen, my dreams aren't, I don't know how most people are, but my dreams are like short segments that are like from one thing to another, bam, 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 and then I wake up. There's no end. There's no solution. No resolution. There's no victory moment or nothing. Right? It's just I dreamed and I woke up in the middle of it. Every time, and I'm like, usually you're like, damn it, I wish I could figure out what happened.
Yeah.
What was the end? And there's a couple of times you ever woke up and you're like, try to go back to sleep so you can finish the dream.
Yes, 100%.
You ever do that?
Yeah.
I do that. You're like,
it doesn't work.
No, it don't. No.
It's terrible.
They say, like, if you think whatever you're thinking about, if you're really thinking about or pondering something really, really hard and you fall asleep, that tends to, that could encourage the dream
to keep
to
going.
be about, the dream to be about that thing, right? So, because we do, we'll worry, right, about something, and then ultimately dream about it.
Yeah.
Days later, right? So sometimes this is gonna sound hilarious. Like sometimes I go to bed thinking about something I enjoy, hoping to dream about it, right?
Okay.
So like I'm thinking about sim racing or playing Hell Let Loose or, boy, I wish I was a football player. I'm dreaming, me daydream about playing for Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
See if that might become a dream. That I can
number 88.
vicariously live out this reality in a dream. Is it weird? Am I weird?
Your ideal dream is playing a video game?
One of them.
Well, I will play video games, and then I'll get so tired that I got to go to bed, but I don't want to stop playing video games. So I go to bed hoping to dream about playing the video game. That's hilarious. I just heard that come out of my mouth. I'm like, that's pretty stupid. No, but it never happens. I can't never like force myself to dream about something. Plus, I may dream about it, but I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Right. Rarely do I wake up and remember my dreams. There's no telling how many times I've dreamed about racing or my dad and not even remembered it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
I always dream like before a triathlon that it's race morning and I missed it. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
And then I wake up and I'm like, I'm not missing this race. Like I wake
So-
up before my alarm, all that. It's crazy stuff.
Good question.
This next question coming from Colbert. Maybe we've asked this before. If not, if we have, I apologize. What's the strangest thing you've ever autographed?
Yeah, we've been asked that before, but
I have a spin on that
okay.
question. Then.
Yeah, I'll answer it again. The one thing that I learned about television is that every time you're doing a show, it's going to be a different audience. So maybe some of the people that don't know this answer hadn't heard it. We were in Indianapolis, and I don't know that this was the very first time this happened, but this is one of the memories. We're in Indianapolis, and you got right outside of the bus, there was this rope, and there were, I don't know, two dozen people waiting for autographs, die casts, and all the stuff, right? So you're going to come out of the bus on your way to practice, sign some autographs as many as you can, then move on down the line and head on to the car or whatever for practice. And somebody pulled their prosthetic leg off for me to sign it. And I was like, all right, that was the first. And it's it's an unusual object to sign, right? It's just like, it's not your die-cast, shirt leg. It's it catches you by surprise. As it would, I think, anybody.
Yeah.
But you sign it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
The spin on that question I have for you, and I've asked a handful of drivers in the current Cup field this, and I'm going to compile all their answers, and it's pretty good. But have you ever had, like, to sign your name on someone's arm and they get it tattooed? And is there extra pressure to do that?
I hate that because Sharpie doesn't write good on skin.
Mm-hmm.
So the autograph that I've tried to write always looks terrible in my opinion. I'll write it and I go, ugh, I really wish you wouldn't get that tattooed because it's so bad. And so what I try to do is get a blank sheet of paper and say, let me sign it on this paper. You give that to your artist. He'll get that on your arm. I know they want the real signature. It feels more legitimate, but it just never works out like you want it to, right? Mm-hmm. And something about that something about that physical proximity and all is very uncomfortable, right? Being that close to a stranger and writing on them is just a weird concept, right? It's just so it's awkward. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But people want that.
Yeah.
But I always encourage them to let me sign it on a nice sheet of paper that we can, your artist can use that. And some of them are like, nah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's not as good.
Give me the sloppy one.
I'm like, my
the
idea
authentic
sounds
one.
great. Surprised that.
I mean, it's only permanent. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any tattoos. Now there's been some times when I've thought about it. But I know that if I started, it would be I would be covered, like full sleeve, like over a period of time, 5 or 10 years, it'd be all over the place.
If you had to get one, what would be like the first thing on the top of your mind? Just, have an
Amy
idea?
and I were just talking about this the other day. At one point during our relationship, way before we were married, I was convinced I wanted to get a Sundrop tattoo.
No way,
Yeah,
really?
get a Sundrop logo on my arm.
Now that's a
You're a
level of
sponsor's
sponsor
dream, man.
commitment.
That's why
that
That's why I do not need to get tattoos because
Yeah,
I have
Sundrop's here.
terrible,
I got
honestly,
Budweiser
terrible
here.
ideas.
I got filter time right
Yes.
here.
Yeah,
I
National
would have-
Guard's back here. Yeah.
Sundrop is more than a sponsor, man.
Yeah.
This is that's a home team.
I'm
Right.
going to get a Bojangles studio.
We did the
right here on
remember we
my
did the
forearm.
temporary at Bojangles right here.
It's
when
bow
we did that
time.
thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
bow time.
Obviously, yeah.
Right.
That's the problem. Is I've thought about it and had probably dozens of ideas about what tattoos I would get because you're always having those conversations with friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's none.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. Now I see other people, and I don't look at their tattoos and go, "What a dumb idea."
Mm-hmm.
It's a tattoo. It's what they wanted.
Yeah.
But if I get one, I might go, "Oh no, I
Right.
can't. Why? Why did I do that?"
It's got the idea, I feel like, has to sit with you pretty good for
Yeah.
a few years
Yeah.
before you even consider getting it.
I would probably be embarrassed and ashamed of it.
Yeah.
Unless it was a Sundrop
Unless
tattoo.
it was Sundrop tattoo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
No, it's not.
No, it's not. I've had it for 10 years.
I love that
My whole opinion of you has now changed in an instant.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. Ugh.
You're that kind of person.
All right. So first I frosted my tips on this show. Now I'm going to get a
You gotta
Sundrop
get a Sundrop
tattoo.
tattoo.
You need
No,
a
I'm not
temporary
gonna do that.
Bojangles tattoo.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out. We got time for one more question. This one's coming from Colin. I know, Blaney's lived on your property at certain times before.
That's not true.
It's not true?
So I had a house connected that was part of my property.
Okay.
I sold it to Brad, and Brad rented to Blaney. So
Okay.
Blaney was a neighbor.
Okay, so the question still stays
I
the
just
same.
want to clear that up.
Okay.
I'm glad you did.
Yes. Who has been the best neighbor you've had over all the years?
Blaney was great.
Blaney was good?
Yeah, Blaney was great because, Blaney was pretty. Blaney, a good neighbor's a neighbor you're gonna, you're hardly ever gonna see, but when you do see them, it's cool. They never complain about what you're doing with your property, and you can enjoy a drink or two from time to time. It was perfect, man. He was kind of coming in to, his own as a cup driver, wins that first race. We got to help him, make sure his celebration was good. We felt like we were helping. We brought the booze.
Mm-hmm.
But, and we hung and partied all night, and he was no trouble, man. Easy. And they, he might, I don't know how much he did, but he would, he'd ride a 4-wheeler over to the house and we'd hang out in the basement and drink beer, which was great because I get home from the race and he gets home from the race and I'm still up and he's still up. I'm like, well, let's hang out and drink a beer too. And that might happen every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think maybe he rode his 4-wheeler on the property some. We got some trails. So, and I didn't mind as long as nobody got hurt, So that was pretty good. That's pretty good. All my neighbors are great. I mean, I don't have a bad neighbor. There's not. I mean, there might be this one neighbor that's a little bit critical. Just not in a good mood. That you're gonna have those.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't ever have any bad interaction with anybody. And I think I like to think. I was thinking about this just driving down the road just the other day. You drive down the road sometimes and somebody will wave at you that you don't recognize. And you're like, they know me, that I live around here. And I kind of have this idea in my head that I hope that in my area, we all look out for each other, right? Like if I see something going on that is unusual on your property, I'm going to figure out how to get that information to you, right? Or if I see something happening in the neighborhood that I think this person needs to know or that person needs, we all kind of got to, look out for each other. And at least that's how I hope it is. I don't know how about you guys. I mean, if you live in a duplex or an apartments complex, right, everybody's trying to work together, right?
Sure.
Definitely.
Got to coexist. Everybody's trying to make this happen and everybody be happy and get to know each other. And so that's kind of what I hope it is like around my place.
Yeah.
You sound like a good neighbor.
I'm easy. I don't make a lot of noise, I don't make a lot of noise. I'm pretty easy.
Nice. I need to circle up to a YouTube comment that made me laugh. This one's from Vegas, and it goes back to the dream conversation. They said, I'm pretty sure no one dreams about playing for the Washington Commanders.
That's hilarious. They'll always be my team.
Yes, you're the first person to dream.
Loyalty is a good quality, man.
Anyways, that's a good place. And asked you
I guess so. All right. Well, thank you.